I brought notes. Let's discuss it. Anyone out there go to back to school night last night? Anyone have back to school night? I had back to school night. My wife and I went to back to school night, and I mean, it started off all right. It did. It did. Happy Friday, August 21st, 2026, by the way. It's good to see you. I'm Loud Italian. We're about 35 seconds in, waiting for chat to populate. It's good to see you. Yeah, I have, for those, I talk about my kids a lot. I process this stuff with you. I try to get this out on my channel because you can relate to this as a parent. Generally speaking, I had a good experience with back to school night. The school did a great job. Um, we got there a little early. It was like 15, 20 minutes. We had to make sure we got parking. It's not always guaranteed to have parking. We were able to get a corner spot. My wife backed in, didn't have to say anything. It was fantastic. We took our truck. Originally, the kids weren't going to go with us, but then they ended up going with us. They played with their friends while we did the back to school thing. I'm actually proud of my son. He and my daughter, of course, but my son, come to find out, we have a new principal. My kids have a new principal at the school, and he kind of looks like Jeff Bridges to me. That cool neighbor vibe. Relaxed. He kind of makes you feel relaxed when you're around him, and that's a good quality to have. Professional and that sort of thing. He wore he had like loafers on. He had, I looked down at his feet. They were a little muddy, but like, you never like look at your teacher, like your kid's teacher's shoes, or you look at the principal's school, school shoes, and you're like, I wonder why they wore that. He had kind of a button up, like, quality, a relaxed fit quality about him, which I can appreciate, because I have anxiety and things like that. So there was no anxiety there when I met the principal. It was great. It's good to see you, YouTube. Talking about back to school night, and we got there, we parked. It was a good experience. Got the corner spot, right? We parked. We went in. Hey, how you doing out there? Blue Gum M9E. I believe you're new. And by the way, awesome freaking handle there. It's a cool name. It's good to see you. Talking about back to school night. I'm a parent. I got a 4th and a 2nd grader. And they're not really doing all that much homework anymore. I've noticed they don't really have a homework packet. Oh, you are? Okay, awesome. You are. Hopefully you had a good experience. I wanted to get into this though. I'm building to it slowly. It's kind of a slow simmer to a raging boil. So buckle up. It's gonna get funny. It's gonna get funny. It might get a little unusual, but I'll circle back to the main path. All right. And so what happened was, everything went okay. Like we got there, we went to that. It's not an auditorium. It's like, I can't remember what it's actually called, but it's like an outdoor gathering, right? And then they had it kind of looks like a skate park in a way. Like there's some skaters and stuff that could put a bunch of like wax and stuff on the side, and then they would be cutting it up with their tricks with the skateboards and stuff. But it was like it's an outdoor place, little arena, right? And then you have the teacher up there. I don't even think they had like a microphone and that sort of thing. But it was cool. My son, what he did was pretty cool. He come to find out, like it was our first time meeting the principal, and he had a few minutes before he went up on stage to like talk and what he wants for the school and his like objectives and his mission and that sort of thing. So he really like he had a good vibe. He had a good relaxed fit kind of Jeff Bridges vibe about him, professional. He had like loafers on, you know, kind of the kind of a sort of like a laid back Matthew McConaughey kind of vibe, you know, where he would like sit on a chair and he would just occupy a lot of space and keep everyone relaxed around him. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how he had a Matthew McConaughey vibe. Um, but and if you know, you know, right? So uh, what my son did though was pretty cool. He come to find out he made, hey, how you doing out there, Victoria? 7502. Good to see you. How are you? Talking about back to school, my experience my wife and I had last night. Our fourth grader, my son, he come to find out made the principal feel welcomed. He you know he really went above and beyond, and he welcomed you know the new principal in the fold, and you know and gave him encouragement and support, and this was all him. And he introduced uh because like it was him, it was my wife and myself, it was the principal and my son, and the principal was like, go ahead, Graham, introduce us, right? You know how we talked about this. And so he was like, you know, he's like, yeah, so this is so and so, this is my mom, this is my dad, this is principal so and so. And he did the introductions, and it was like his first go at it, and he did it flawlessly. So dad is proud. Graham, if you're listening to this later, Loud Italian, your dad here is proud of you. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. Um, and so like I just had to throw that out there. It was important. He really he brought that up. So yeah, how you doing, Mando? It's good to see you. Talking about um, back to school night as a parent, and he's in fourth grade. Yes, he's in fourth grade. He had that like that human resources relaxed kind of like that open door policy, you know, and it was a good experience. So but now like when we listened to that whole speech and stuff, right? And my wife wanted to sit down, and I was like, you can sit down if you want, but I don't like anyone behind me, and I kind of sit in the back. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stand up, because when you sit out there on the concrete, and a man reaches a certain age, he needs back support. He needs some cushion for his rear end. And it was like it was concrete. I'm not in my 20s anymore. I don't want to rest my old bones on concrete. So I need a little relaxation there. So I just stood. I you know, and I just stood. And my position was I stood in the back, and I kind of evaluated. You know how we kind of evaluate the other parents, and we just kind of like we look around, and then the moms, they kind of like mingle a little bit, right? They catch up on Summer. Did you do anything with Summer? Did you guys go anywhere, do anything exciting? And you know, my wife was just like, I mean, we went here and there and we did a couple of things, but that, you know, it wasn't a whole lot. We didn't really go on any trips, big camping stuff, like trips, vacations, and that sort of thing. We kind of keep that relaxed during the summertime. I didn't take any vacation at work, so you know it was that was just kind of it. Everything went fine, you know, and then we ended up breaking off, and then we saw my daughters. We went into her classroom first, and You know what I mean? And this is not something that I normally talk about. I never thought about this really, but when I walked into my second grade, my daughter's classroom, I was greeted by that like that educational smell. You ever get like you ever like get a whiff and you smell and you just inhale and you're like, you know what? This smells pleasant. I'm gonna have a good experience. You don't really quite think about it, but you kind of do. And you're like, and you do a little scan and everything is like so small. You feel like a giant walking into like a normal person's like room or house, and it's like everything is so micro and far away. It's like, and then I'm like, and then we end up sitting down, and the spaces are kind of small because it's for kids. You sit down in your kid's chair, and it's like you can't quite relax, and it's like you kind of sit down. You want to use the back support, but you can't because you fall over it. You fall back and over it, and you kind of fold the other way around, and it's like what's going on there? I don't get that, right? It's like, and I'm looking at the other parents. I'm looking at the other parents, and I'm like, what's going on with the other parents? Why why are they not taking off their hats indoors anymore? I didn't grow up that way, YouTube. I grew up, you take your hat off, in the military, take the hat off. This is a school. You're in your kid's classroom. You're representing your child, right? Take your hat off indoors, especially when you're in school, right? No one teaches them this stuff anymore. You take your hat off. I did a quick scan too, and I was like, there's six males, right? And then there's seven females, and they're like couples and stuff, you know? And I'm sitting in the back, which is a good thing. That's kind of where my daughter's desk was. And I'm doing a scan about the only other person that didn't have a hat on besides myself didn't bring one. Everybody else, all the other fathers, all the other fathers of the children in that classroom had a hat on. And I turned to my wife and I'm like, do they not take their hats off anymore? Why are you not taking your hat off? Come on, you're representing your child. Take your hat off. I had this hat. You know what I mean? And it wasn't one of those, it wasn't just that one bill. I need 360 maximum protection. I'm in my 40s now, and I know about skin cancer. I know. And I don't burn either. I've got olive oil skin. I've got beautiful skin, YouTube. Beautiful skin. And it's like it's a thing, right? When what so like you take your hat off. It's just courtesy. It's manners. It's manners. Take your hat. If you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for your kid. What kind of example are you setting for your kid, your child? Like, come on, take your hat off. There you go. Even if your hair is embarrassing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No one cares about your hair or lack thereof. If you have no hair, if you've got one little hair that's like, or you're doing a comb over, it doesn't matter. Take your hat off when you're in class. Can I can I get some hearts or some emojis? Do you understand that? I mean, I tell you one thing, if people were like they were paying attention and everyone had manners, I wouldn't really have anything to say to you today, YouTube. Come on, take your hat off. I mean, am I right? Come on, Mando, it's good to see you. Hey, Adrian, it's good to see you. Blue Gum M9E, good to see you. Everyone in here showing up. This is fantastic. This is good stuff, right? This is better. This is going better than I thought it would. I sat there at my notes at like 6:30 this morning, and I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about today. And then I started doodling. You ever like doodle? Right? And I got my notebook and I'm writing down and I'm like, you know what? This is going to be good stuff. And then it just kind of wrote itself. It picked up and it was just like, it was fantastic. It just started rolling right into each other. Look at this. 15 minutes in. This is great. So back to school night, the principal had that Jeff Bridges relaxed. Jeff Bridges meets Matthew McConaughey vibe. My son introduced us, fantastic. Made the principal feel welcomed. Was the one of the only ones to do that too. He's natural at it. He's providing others with that world class service at 10 years old. Can you imagine? Could you imagine the the future of my son? Could you imagine? My goodness, he's already demonstrating greatness at 9 3/4 years old. I'm very happy for him, you know. And so like my daughter, you know what I mean? She's kind of reserved and she's I'm gonna get to that, right? So I'm like, we're wrapping up. We're wrapping up with the with my experience. I mean, if you have one child, you go to one thing, and that and so like teachers are a little different now than they used to be. Like my like they're happy to be there. They really are. And you can tell they're relaxed and stuff. You know, one of them felt a little bit more confident. She had like, she had the projector on, sort of. I don't even, it's not really a projector anymore. It doesn't make that soft whirl. Remember those days when you would take that, where teachers would take that, like, that transparent, like, overhead projector sheet of paper, and then they would like take it off, and then they would take the dry erase and they would write in, and then they would like erase it and they would flip it, and it would make that, like, it would make that sound, that like thick plastic smell, that sound it would make, right? And then you would turn it off, and it's like, it's very steel. You can cut yourself on it. It was almost like a cheese grater. But that's not how they do it anymore, which is kind of cool. They just have the computer on, um, and I think it's like a projector now. It's like it's a little bit more fancier, and then they have a little mouse that they click, and it's like it's all wireless, right? It's all Bluetooth. Um, so things are better with Bluetooth. And it's just, I mean, there's no Ethernet, there's no cables involved there. It's clean. So that was a good experience. I mean, I'm not expecting like Modern Warfare 4 delayed milliseconds, right? Where lag can kill you. It's not like that. It's not that serious. Um, but yeah, it was a good experience. And so we went to um, like after we transitioned from my daughters, which I have to say this though, like I read they like wrote some stuff, like all the kids and stuff, they wrote stuff like the things that they did during the summertime. And what's interesting was like my daughter, and she has a neighbor friend that she likes to hang out with, and my son hangs out with my daughter's friend, and then also her brother who's around his age, and they kind of hang out. Those I'm lucky to have that. I'm lucky that my kids have that friend that lives down the street and goes to school with them, and is like in the same class as them, so they're going to go through the grades together, so they're not alone. I think that's fantastic. They're going to grow together, like a strong tree, right? Where those roots just grow together and they provide something that's like super strong. So yeah, it's great. It's great. They're having such a great like initial experience with school, and I'm so happy for them. I'm excited to help them with homework. I'm excited to talk to you about that. I didn't really talk about that before. So I'm gonna get into that. You guys are helping me process this stuff, so thank you. I love the laughing emojis. This is great. I haven't seen them in a while. I haven't. You guys haven't showed up all that much. Still got the friends I had from kindergarten. See, that's great. See, there's a reason why I keep going back to Kindergarten Cop. I love that movie. I love that. That was one of my first book reports I ever did as a kid. I loved that movie. I think I wrote my book report in a crayon, if I'm not mistaken, um, back in the early '90s. So that's great to hear, Mando. I'm glad, and hopefully my kids have the same thing. And so like my daughter and and her classmate who also friends outside of school, they like talked about each other and they were like, yeah, we went to, my daughter, she actually talked about her friend coming over and spending the night having a sleepover. And I remember one of the words, it was like spelled OVERE instead of OVER. And it's very kind of like, it's very kiddish. It's kind of funny too, because it's like they're learning how to spell, but you can kind of make it out anyway. And it's like, and then they were talking about each other, like two different pages at two different times, two different, like, I don't even think they like talked about it, and they ended up having kind of the same message. And it was great. And I thought that was pretty cool. So, and then I wanted to add that. So now transitioning from my daughter's school to, um, I want to make sure my phone doesn't die, because it gets too hot. And so like we moved from my daughter's class to my son's class, and then it ends up being like, a teacher that I haven't met before. She seems pretty cool, a little stressed out, a little older, um, has some more experience with their kids and stuff. She's also like equally as passionate about her work and her career, um, and she's trying to figure some stuff out. I didn't pick up any like discomfort or lack of confidence when she was delivering her message for like, what the expectations are and stuff. But I do remember reading The Wall. I do remember reading The Wall, and he was talking about like they came up with their own mission statement. They come up they with respect and be kind, and hey Iris, it's good to see you. It's good to see you. I'm talking about my back to school night, as a parent. And so like I wanted to kind of cover that. And then like the hats, no one's taking off their hats in school anymore. Like, come on, take your hats off, right? So that's in there. It's a lot of a lot of good stuff in there. Um, be respectful. Do it for your kid. Do it for the classroom. Do it for the teacher. Do it to set a good example. I don't even think people think about it anymore. They just kind of wear this stuff, and it's like they don't put thought into it. You got to put some thought into it. Do it for your kid. I remember I worked that day. I worked yesterday, and I provided that world class service, and I had a dirty shirt. I made sure I put a new collared shirt on to represent my kids. I wanted to represent my kids. I didn't have any like t-shirts on, you know what I mean? The flip flop, the sandals, I wore Crocs, but I had socks on. I had a little class. I was a little classy. I classed it up. I did. And I want to represent my kids. The first time I'm meeting the principal, first time I'm meeting the teacher, not my daughter's teacher, because my son had the teachers and they're going through the same grades. And so this is my first initial impression of my son's teacher, fourth grade teacher. They're not doing a lot of homework. Her message was great. Some of the stuff that she talked about, stuff that I talk about with my kids. They don't have a lot of homework now. They get a lot of stuff done in class, which is kind of cool. They have projects here and there, but it's like it's not a whole lot. And my wife gets involved, and this is one of those things I talked about on my channel about 40 things I love about my wife. Check that out. About 4 days. I did it 4 days before her 40th birthday. She loved that video, by the way. Loved it. Everyone watched it together when we had our little birthday party. It was great. I looked pretty good on the TV. I gotta tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you, transparent with you. You know, the 160s, I'm right under 170 now. Fasting. This is day 2 of 5. I'm not gonna eat till 4 p.m. It's working for me. It's great. Um, so had to throw that in there. But yeah, the experience was great. I did feel kind of like a giant, in a normal like setting with humans, right? Like I can kind of relate with that big Cyclops. It's inside the cave in the Odyssey, right? And you got Odysseus and his men. I kind of felt like that in a way, not as violent, not as like not as aggressive, but like that giant to human kind of like that contrast. And I tried to sit in the chair. I did. I did. I tried to sit in the chair. I feel like my left butt cheek was on there and my right one was kind of hanging off, and I had to champion through. I had to power through. Right? When you sit in that chair and you're like, maybe I need another chair. I am. I'm Italian. I'm half Italian, half Sicilian, and half Finnish. Um, Thanks for asking. How are you there, HD9RC? It's good to see you. We're 26 minutes in. I'm wrapping up soon. Um, just wanted to share my experience with back to school night. Very, very good stuff. Very light-hearted comedy. Enjoy yourself. A lot of the jokes came and went already, so go ahead and play this back if you want. Um, I haven't really been listening to myself on my way home. I've been just listening to just kind of the silence and stuff. So just kind of processing my day. Um, but yeah, so just hopefully you enjoy this stuff. Hopefully you can relate. Or you're having kids and you're like, what am I getting myself into? Or you've had kids and they're adults and you're like, yeah, I remember those days. So there's something in this for everyone. There is, and I'm a parent of I have 2 kids. I have a 10-year-old. He doesn't want to call. He's like, no, I'm not 10 years old. I'm like 9 and so many days. And I was like, okay, relax. You're about 10. You're closer to 10 than you are 9. So let's agree to disagree. You got to pick your battles. Some battles are not worth dying over, right? You gotta choose where you're gonna die on that hill, if you know what I mean. As a parent, is that argument worth it? Not really. So sometimes you can win an argument by losing, because then that other person will be on your side. Um, so yeah, there you go. And so yeah, and I remember I was sitting there and I was like, I think I had one arm on the. It was like it's like a desk. It's not that little chair anymore. Um, and so like I was sitting there and I was just trying to position myself, and it has that like small bucket seat, the plastic, like the thick tiny chair for the kids, and I tried to sit in it and I did the best I could, but I still kind of felt like I was folding up and around it. So it's kind of how I felt there. But yeah, my only issue was like, is anyone going to take their hats off? Everyone was wearing hats in the class. Basically everyone, all the males had hats on, and in the classroom they didn't take it off. One other guy didn't have a hat on because he didn't bring a hat. I had a hat. I brought this hat because and then I end up taking it off. You take the hat off when you're in the classroom. So, hey, that's how it is. And so yeah, and that's kind of it, right? This is it. 29 minutes in, I'm gonna go inside. I'm gonna start sweating soon. I'm gonna go ahead and read a little bit. Hopefully I'm not like bothered by others today. And that's kind of it. I wanted to cover back to school night, the experience, getting there, the whole thing, and leaving. And it was good. The kids went, they had a good time. No one was like super upset. No one was really cranky. Um, Today, my wife dropped the kids off today. And so that whole experience goes down a little bit differently. When I drop it, this is it before I wrap up. But Here's a great example of Loud Italian, how he feels when he drops his kids off at school. You ever get that that beginning scene in Call of Duty, um, um, Call of Duty Warzone, when you're like, stick with me here though. When you're in the plane and you're selecting the zone to drop in on, and then everyone just kind of drops in, and you have that clean drop where everyone like knows where to go, they get their gear, they plate in, right? They they scan, everyone's working together. It's very clean. It's a clean drop. That's how I feel when I drop my kids off at school, right? Like I roll up there. Before I roll up there, like 20, 30 seconds out, I make an official announcement like I'm a team lead and they're my Navy SEALs. And I'm like, all right, kids, I'm gonna hit this button here. I'm gonna, cause it's like it's child safety locks, right? I hit the button, it opens up, right? And then I'm like, okay, and then we're like kind of rehearsing ahead of time. Like, okay, Emmy, you know your left and your right. Which side is your buckle on? It's on this side, Dad. All right, cool. Graham, you know what to do here. Everyone's going to file out on this side, not on the left side, because that's where all the cars go. And so they're going to file out on that right-hand side. And when it's clean, you get that sensation of success, mission success, right? And they all file out, and that's a fantastic feeling. That's how I feel. That's a great metaphor for how I feel. Relating Call of Duty Warzone drops at the beginning of the mission to kids getting out of the car at school. And then I stop, they get out, they hold hands, they cross the street, right? And you're like, that's a shining example of my kids leading by example, becoming little, they're like little leaders. So there you go. So that's it. That's all I have. Talked about back to school night, my experience. I'm Loud Italian. It's good to see you. Thank you for hanging in there. If you've hung in there this whole time, I appreciate you. I'm Loud Italian. Like, subscribe, enable notifications, ring that bell. I hope you had a good time. If you had back to school night, hopefully you had success. Um, if you don't have kids, hey, this is something to get. This is an experience of a father, of a dad with his kids yesterday. So there you go. And then if you're already a parent and you've gone through this, hopefully this brings back some memories and made you laugh. So thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for double clicking on my video, on my live stream, and not swiping away. I appreciate you. I really do. You guys keep me fired up, and you keep me coming back and putting in my reps and fulfilling a promise to deliver a video on a regular basis. So this evening I may get into some Oblivion Remastered. We'll see what happens. I had some fun last night offline. I'm going to be participating in the Sony Blackout on the 23rd to the 30th. And I want to get into the From Software's Duskbloods on Nintendo Switch 2. So I'll talk about that maybe tomorrow. I'm going to try out the network test tonight. Hopefully the servers hold, and I could talk about that experience tomorrow. So look forward to that. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Like, subscribe, enable notifications, and ring that bell. I'll talk to you guys, gals, and everyone out there in the world. Hope you have a beautiful day. Friday, August 21st, 2026. I'm going to go provide that world-class service. Day 2 of 5. Yeah, that's all I have. So this isn't goodbye. It's see you later, because goodbye is something you say to someone you don't want to see again. To you, which I'm not going to say, is goodbye. I'm going to say see you later. Peace.